I'm 92 years old now, and most mornings I wake up surprised that I did. That's the truth of it. My body feels like a house with too many cracked beams, too many drafts I can't seal. I sit on the edge of my bed and wait for my legs to remember how to hold me. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. When you're 92, you don't think in years anymore. You think in seasons. Will I see the leaves turn again? Will I feel one more spring breeze on my face? I don't say that out loud to my children. They're in their late 60s and early 70s now. They look at me the way I used to look at my own mother, like I might break if they speak too sharply. I've had a long life, a good one in many ways. But there are 6 mistakes I made, not all at once, not dramatically, that slowly, quietly ruined my health. I didn't notice them as mistakes at the time. They felt like normal life, reasonable choices. That's how it happens. The first was simple. I ignored my body. In my 30s, I was always tired. I had 3 children under 10 and a husband who worked long hours. I thought exhaustion was proof I was doing things right. If I was worn thin, it meant I was a good mother, a good wife. I remember standing at the kitchen sink, my back aching, the smell of dish soap on my hands, thinking, I'll rest when they're older. I said that for decades. There were headaches that wouldn't go away, a tightness in my chest when I climbed the stairs. I told myself it was nerves. I didn't see a doctor unless something was broken or bleeding. I didn't want to be dramatic. I didn't want to be a burden. By the time I finally listened, my blood pressure had been high for years. Damage had already been done. You can't negotiate with arteries once they've hardened. They don't soften because you're sorry. The second mistake was what I fed myself. I grew up in a time when a full plate meant love, meat, potatoes, butter, pie. We didn't talk about cholesterol. We talked about being grateful. When I was raising my children, I cooked the same way my mother did. Fried chicken on Sundays, biscuits with gravy, sugar in my coffee, sugar in my tea, sugar in the little rewards I gave myself at night after everyone went to bed. Food was comfort. It was the only quiet moment I had some days. I didn't think about the future version of me who would struggle to walk across a room. I didn't picture the insulin shots, the swollen ankles, the way my fingers would ache from inflammation. I thought, this is just how we eat. You don't feel the damage from one meal. You feel it from 40 years of them. The third mistake was sitting still. I was never lazy. I worked hard, but I didn't move in ways that kept me strong. I cleaned, I cooked, I folded laundry, but I didn't walk for myself. I didn't stretch. Exercise seemed selfish. An hour spent walking alone felt indulgent when there were lunches to pack and floors to mop. In my 50s, I started noticing I couldn't get up from the floor without holding on to something. I laughed about it. I'm just getting older, I'd say. But muscles don't stay because you once used them. They leave quietly if you don't ask them to stay. Now, at 92, I measure my day in steps, from chair to bathroom to kitchen. I hold on to walls like they're old friends. The fourth mistake was stress. Not loud, dramatic stress. The quiet kind. I worried about everything. Money, the children, my husband's job, whether people liked me, whether I'd said the wrong thing at church. I carried it in my chest like a small hot stone. I didn't talk about it. In those days, you kept going. You didn't sit around discussing your feelings. But stress doesn't disappear because you ignore it. It settles into your body. It tightens your jaw. It keeps you awake at night. It raises your blood pressure while you're pretending everything is fine. There were nights in my 40s when I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my heart racing for no reason I could name. In the morning, I'd make pancakes and smile like I'd slept peacefully. I told myself this was adulthood, responsibility. Now, when my heart flutters in my chest and the doctor adjusts another medication, I wonder how much of it was built in those silent nights. The fifth mistake was postponing joy. I told myself there would be time later, time to travel, time to sit on the porch with a cup of coffee and do nothing, time to learn how to swim, time to paint, like I'd wanted to when I was a girl. But there was always something more urgent. College tuition, a leaking roof, a promotion my husband was chasing, then grandchildren, then caring for my own aging parents. I don't regret caring for them. I love them. But I regret believing my own life could wait indefinitely, that my body would patiently hold its strength until I was ready to enjoy it. By the time I tried to travel in my 70s, my knees were already worn down. Airports became ordeals. Long walks through museums left me breathless. The world I'd postponed was still there. I just couldn't move through it the way I'd imagined. The sixth mistake was the hardest to admit. I didn't ask for help. I wanted to be capable, reliable, the strong one. When my back first started hurting in my 60s, my daughter offered to come by more often. I told her no. I'm fine, I said. I always said that. Fine is a dangerous word. Because I didn't lean on others, I overdid it. I lifted boxes I shouldn't have. I scrubbed floors on hands and knees long after I should have hired someone. I saw needing help as weakness, so I hid my pain until it was loud enough that it couldn't be hidden. That stubbornness cost me mobility I'll never get back. There wasn't one dramatic moment when everything fell apart. It was slower than that. In my late 70s, I had a mild stroke. I remember sitting at the kitchen table, trying to pick up my teacup, and my hand simply not obeying me. It was small. The doctors called it a warning. I nodded politely. But inside, I knew it wasn't sudden. It was the sum of all those years. The high blood pressure I ignored, the food I leaned on, the stress I swallowed, the movement I postponed, the help I refused. The stroke took something from me I never fully regained, a steadiness, a confidence in my own body. After that, every ache felt like a threat. Every dizzy spell felt like the beginning of the end. Now at 92, my world is smaller. My children visit, my grandchildren call. I sit by the window and watch the street. I'm grateful, I truly am. Not everyone gets this many years, but I feel the cost of my choices in every joint. When I look back, I don't see a reckless woman. I see someone trying to do her best, trying to be dependable, trying to keep everything together. None of my mistakes looked like mistakes at the time. They looked like sacrifice, like responsibility. That's what makes them so easy to repeat. If I could sit across from the woman I was at 35, I wouldn't scold her. She was tired. She was doing what she thought was right. I would just take her hand and say, "Your body is not a machine. It's not something you can use up and replace." I assumed there would be more time to repair things, more time to strengthen what I'd neglected. But the body keeps score quietly. It remembers every year you told it to wait. There are things that can't be fixed now. My balance won't return. My heart won't grow younger. The trips I didn't take will remain untaken. I won't climb a hill again just to see the view. I won't dance at another wedding without holding tightly to someone's arm. That's not bitterness. It's just fact. If you're listening to me and you're younger, even if you're not that young, don't assume endurance is the same as health. Don't confuse being needed with being well. They are not the same thing. Rest before you collapse. Move before you stiffen. Eat as if your future self is sitting at the table with you. Let someone carry a box for you. Time feels generous when you're in the middle of it. It feels endless. Until it doesn't. I don't lie awake at night drowning in regret. That season has passed. What I feel now is a quiet understanding, a tenderness toward the woman I was, and a sorrow for the things she didn't know. If this meant something to you, I hope it's not because you see yourself in my pain, but because you still have choices I no longer do. At 92, I move slowly. I breathe carefully, I hold on to railings, and I finally listen to my body. I just wish I had started sooner.